Hi everybody. So tonight we're going to be talking about Spike Lee's "Do the Right Thing" for Black Life in Brooklyn, the forum. So first, the film is pretty much about a local pizzeria that's in a Brooklyn neighborhood, a predominantly black Brooklyn neighborhood, and the pizza store is owned by Italians, and so the majority of the customers that come there to eat the pizza are black. So inside of this pizzeria, they have like a Hall of Fame, like any other restaurant, where they put like famous actors up there. And in this pizzeria, they have only famous Italian actors and actresses on the wall. So pretty much one of the characters named Bugging Out, he comes there for pizza, and he's like, why don't you have any black actors on the Hall of Fame? Being that this pizza shop is in a predominantly black neighborhood. So the owner pretty much disagrees, and he's like, if you want to see black, people on the Hall of Fame, then you need to open your own pizzeria. So, because of this decision of him not wanting to add any blacks to the Hall of Fame, there started like it was like a little racism and hate that the wall symbolized, and so that started like a little, pretty much not a war, but like a confrontation between the blacks and this pizzeria. So, pretty much the film, says it takes place in Bed-Stuy, which we know Brooklyn. And from the trailer, the first trailer, what's happening in this first trailer is it's just pretty much showing the "Do the Right Thing" trailer is pretty much showing black culture and just the Brooklyn life, pretty much. Like you see the kids playing in the street with the water hydrants. You see older people sitting out, just laughing, talking, and then you see like the younger generation, which is like what is his name, Bugging Out, and I can't think, and Mookie's age. Those are the ones, with the boom boxes very loud, they feel about their neighborhood. So in this trailer, like as you can see, it's just showing the differences between, the blacks in Brooklyn and like the Italian people at the pizzeria. Um yeah, and that's pretty much what the trailer was about. And then pretty much Spike Lee's Brooklyn is representing, black culture, music, and art, and how blacks lived with not much money, and how they were fighting for their rights against the white privilege. It wasn't a full out political race war that was going on, but they had their own race war going on within their own little neighborhood over this one pizza shop, because he just refused to acknowledge any famous black people that, his predominantly black customers could see when they come into the shop spending their money there. So that was a big issue. Also, let's see. Okay, about the Cosby Show. Okay, so in season one opening, it's showing a very happy black family and wealthy black family. They're playing sports in the park. They live in a more suburban kind of part of Brooklyn. It's just showing a different view of black families during that time, and just black people during that time, because not too many black people were well off and wealthy at that time. So to show this family, this black family coming on TV, and they have money, they have careers, they have a tight knit family that actually sits down and have dinner together, things like that. It was a different view and a different way of seeing black people that too many people, I don't want to say, I guess privileged people probably did not view black people as. They were more so, when you thought of a black person back then, they were associating riots and loud music, thugs, uneducated, families that are broken apart, no father figure in the home, or even sometimes no mother figure in the home. So the Cosby Show showed a very positive light when it came to black families. Um, there, there are some similarities between the Brooklyn, Spike Lee's Brooklyn, and the Cosby's Brooklyn. And the only similarities I can think of is that it's still black people who, they do have love for their culture. They may just live a little differently, but they do have love for their culture. And they still have families too. Whether it be broken apart or a tight knit family like the Cosbys, they still have family and they still have love for each other. And they still believe in, their culture, and what they can do for their culture. So those are the similarities that I've seen there. Um, these two trailers tell us about the black experience during the 1980s is that some families were fortunate enough to have nice things, a nice house, great careers, and then there were some families who were just considered the have-nots, who did not have, were not fortunate enough to be able to own businesses or make six-figure salaries, or just able to have all of their family under one home every night. Like, there was just some who were not able to have that, which would be more so of Spike Lee's vision of Brooklyn in the 1980s. Cosby's is more so, like I said, their kids are going to college, their parents are very, have really great careers. They make, enough money to support the establishment that they live in, Also, moving on from the Korean grocery store, um, in this scene, pretty much there are three older guys sitting outside and they're looking at this Korean store. And pretty much one of the guys says that he thinks Koreans are geniuses. He's like, black people in Brooklyn are dumb. He says that they should open their own store in their own neighborhoods. And one guy discourages him and he says that they can't open their own businesses, and that he's going to go spend his money with the Koreans. He's pretty much saying that black people were too dumb to, think of opening their own business in their own neighborhoods. Um, and about Sal's Wall of Fame, I couldn't find the exact link, but from what I did see, um, there's a part when Sal, who is the Italian pizzeria owner, he charges bugging out extra for his cheese to put on his pizza, and he's like, he also makes it seems like blacks, he didn't have enough money to pay for his food, just by the little sarcastic gestures that he was making and what he was saying. So bugging out, he says that there should be, blacks on the wall because they spend so much money in that pizza store, so why not put somebody on the wall they can look up to, that they do look up to. And pretty much Sal ends up kicking him out, and bugging out says that they should boycott the pizzeria. Um, According to Spike Lee in these films, I would say the consumer has control over the neighborhood. Well, the consumer could have control over the neighborhood, but I guess you could say the ones who own the businesses do have control of the neighborhood, because pretty much those are the only convenient places in that neighborhood where you can get what you need. The consumers could have control over the neighborhood because pretty much they control where the money goes, and they control how well these businesses do in their neighborhood by what they spend inside of these stores. So I guess you can say there's like there's a battle going on between who has control. But clearly in these films you can tell that the owners of the stores have the control in the neighborhood, and the consumers are trying to gain the control. Um, okay, in the last clip of Sal's Wall Street, when Mookie says "Stay black," well, he says, bugging out says Mookie stay black. Pretty much bugging out means that, don't forget who you are, and don't let Sal, who's the pizzeria owner, don't let him make you think that it's okay to ignore black culture, in such a predominantly black neighborhood. It tells us that, it was more comfortable. He was pretty much saying it's more comfortable to stick with your own race and class, kind of. Pretty much meaning like, okay, you work, what is his name? Mookie. He works inside of a Italian pizzeria who is ran by Italians, but their customers are like 99% black. So he's saying, don't let him make you think that it's okay to not acknowledge, your culture, and to not have black actors and actresses up on his Hall of Fame. Like, it's not right. And don't let him make you think that it is okay just because you work for him. That's why he was saying, Mookie stay black. So, I got what he meant by that. Also, in the clip for the Cosby's Vanessa's Rich, the message pretty much that they're conveying here is, her parents, they talked to Vanessa about her being bullied for being rich. The other blacks were clearly, jealous of Vanessa, and they probably didn't understand, why, she probably didn't understand why the other girls were thinking that she was better than them. Her parents, they worked hard for what they have, and they are not rich, but to other Brooklyn residents, they may seem that way just because, the way they're living in Brooklyn during this time is not the way most black families are living. So, of course, to, a Spike Lee, a Do the Right Thing character in Brooklyn, it's going to look, to them, it's going to look like the Cosbys are, very wealthy, very well off, because they're not, they're living two completely different lives. So, pretty much in this clip, they're pretty much saying that, even within race, there's discrimination. There are some blacks that are still, they're still discriminating against other blacks because of things like class and finances, education, things like that. Just like in this clip, Vanessa's black, her family's black, and the girls who were making fun of her are also black, but they discriminate against her because she has something that they don't, which was a little more money, a little more stability in the home. So yeah, that just shows that within race there is discrimination. Also moving on, it says some people criticize the Cosby Show and arguing that the Huxtables were a white family in blackface. So what that says about the people who perceive the reality of blackness, they perceive black people as broke and not educated. They pretty much think that all black people are on welfare or not family oriented. How can you say that the Huxtables are a white family in blackface? You know, it may look like that to other people who may have been a little jealous of them. Me personally, I would have said that they're doing well off and they're doing the right thing by getting their education and being able to provide for their families. So, yeah, and it says, what do you make of this critique that the Cosby Show depicted a family that had essentially abandoned its race? And I said, I think that is utter nonsense. The black race has many elements of class, just like all races. You have some blacks who, or just people in general, that are not as wealthy as others, and some who are not as fortunate to get a certain level of education as others. So, pretty much, um, yeah, the media just seems to focus on the downfalls and homelessness and crime of black people instead of like the things that the Cosby Show was celebrating, which is like going to college and having a successful career and being a tight knit family that talks about their day at dinner. Those kind of things. Like they were celebrating that, and that was something that definitely needed to be seen by the world. That's why I really I am appreciative of the Cosby Show because from my own experience, I didn't grow up, I grew up with my family. I grew up in a one family house. I grew up where we ate dinner together, not every night but most nights. Like it was very close knit. So that did show a different way that black people in the 1980s did live. Everybody was not poor, everybody was not on drugs, everybody was not uneducated, like also it says, what would the characters in Do the Right Thing think about the Cosbys? I would say they would probably think that the Cosbys were a little well off, and they probably did think that they were most likely stuck up, as some people say, or uppity. Especially if the Cosbys did not invest in black culture and the black neighborhoods, they most likely would think that the Cosby shows were being white faced in a black body, as they say. Um, let's see what else. Okay, so black scholars and activists they disagreed, arguing that Wilson had betrayed the civil rights agenda by underestimating the continuing role of racial prejudice. How would Spike Lee respond? I said that Spike Lee would most likely say that this is nonsense because of your color, you are not given opportunity to be great. I think that's what Spike Lee would say because, just like from Do the Right Thing, when the Italian pizzeria owner says, you know, um, go get your own business and you can put whoever you want on the wall in your business. I think Spike Lee felt that most black people couldn't own their own business and get to that level where they could have who they want on the wall of fame. So I think Spike Lee would definitely say, because of your color, you're not giving as much opportunity as the next person who may be of white or, a higher privileged race. I think Cliff Huxtable would definitely say that you have to work hard to gain opportunity being black. I'm pretty sure the Cosbys, they knew that they were black. They still had struggles. Even being wealthy and black, you still have that, I guess you could say, color line that separates you. Like, yeah, you have money, you're wealthy, you may be looked at a little different, but at the end of the day, you're still looked at as black. So I'm pretty sure that Cliff would say you have to work hard to gain that opportunity being black. And Spike Lee would just think that that opportunity is not given to you because you're black. Also, well, like I said, I agree. I think that you do have to work harder being of black descent, African descent. You have to work much harder than the next person. I think that's just because of preconceived ideas that are already made about certain races. Some people already have it already programmed in their mind that you're not going to do as well as another race because of all of the things societies have, glued to you. When you think of black, there's such a negative connotation that's put to that, and it's not right. And I feel like as black people, we have to work much harder to prove that we're not those statistics that people put out there about us. So I would definitely say you have to work harder being black. Um, Also, let's see. Watch the MLK clip, which aired on. Okay, what is it saying about race in the U.S.? Pretty much it's saying that no matter your class, as a black person, back then you were still judged on the color of your skin. It didn't matter if you had money. I think that's what that's pretty much saying. And also, his family is shaped by the legacy of the civil rights. Do you think they're still contending with racial prejudice? Um, I definitely think so, because like I said, if they're not being discriminated against by whites, they definitely were getting discriminated by their own kind, blacks too, who did not have as much as them. So I definitely think they were still dealing with racial prejudice. And lastly, in the lives of the Huxtables, is there still a color line, or have they already come out on the other side? Like I said, there definitely still is a color line within. I would say within the black community, there probably still was a color line because they were still black, but there was a separation. They were wealthy black. Um, I think to society, some some may view that they've came out on the other side because, like I said, society back then has such this negative connotation about black people. So when they seen a family on TV, that was wealthy and educated and had kids in college and things like that, they may have thought that, oh, these black people have crossed the color line. And to black people who already know what the struggle is, they may say that no, there's still a color line. And the color line for Spike Lee's character, I would definitely say that there's still a color line. They haven't come out on the other side yet. Just because of the way Spike Lee portrays his Brooklyn, you can clearly tell that they're trying to come out on the other side, but there's just so many barriers that's keeping them on the color line, behind the color line, like the Italian pizzeria. So, both Cosby shows, Do the Right Thing, both are great things to view, and they both depicted a very true idea of black people during Brooklyn in the 1980s. Like there was a clear cut view of black people who were a little wealthier, living in Bed-Stuy, the wealthy part, and then there was the side that didn't have as much and were fighting for their rights daily. So I definitely enjoy both of these, and I guess leave your comments, guys. Thanks.